Namaste and welcome to Rocket Teacher Training. My name is Amber Jean Marie and I've been practicing the rocket since the early 2000s, even late in 1999. I learned the rocket from Larry Schultz in San Francisco. He had a studio in San Francisco and was one of the first yoga instructors, one of the first American yoga instructors to offer teacher training. So this was a time before there were teacher trainings and yoga studios all over the cities and on the corners like you see today. So it was definitely a different time. I had to fly out to San Francisco to take my teacher training. And I knew that I had found my yoga and I fell in love with the rocket practice. I fell in love with the students at the studio, and I knew that I had found my teacher, Larry Schultz. When you find your teacher, you just want to be around them all the time and you resonate with them, and it's a very special bond that is shared and exchanged between teacher and student. And they call that relationship Shakti. So that's the Shakti that Larry and I had. My love for the practice kept me going out to San Francisco. I would regularly go out there and see what was happening with the rocket. We called it getting the juice, and that was practicing at It's Yoga with Larry. And some of the rocket classes in San Francisco would have 60 people. And so you can only imagine that type of energy, especially when you're practicing something so fun as the rocket and half the people are jumping up into handstands, and truly some of the strongest practitioners I have ever seen. It was at Larry's studio. And so I kept going out there and I really got to see firsthand how the rocket was evolving to meet the needs of the students. And so often, as we are also evolving, it's important to remember the organic nature of yoga and how over time things do change. And I really like to preserve the rocket as best as I can to the way that I practiced it with Larry. However, things start to evolve. So we've also not only in the rocket system have the rocket 1, 2, and 3, we have the bottle rocket 1 and the bottle rocket 2. Those are routines that I kind of coined the name bottle rocket as mini versions of full rocket practices. So what I found was from practicing for so long is how do you inspire people to practice rocket? Because it can appear like a very powerful, intimidating practice. And so I really wanted to inspire beginners to practice the rocket. And so the bottle rocket routine is the bare bones of the rocket. And can be done in 45 minutes or 55 if you have the sun salutations. Bottle rocket 2 is a mini version of the full rocket 2, and it's shorter as well, under an hour. And so I got to see firsthand how the rocket was evolving. When Larry first started instructing the rocket, we would do maybe one handstand at the end of class. Well, everyone kept getting stronger. So then it became 3 sets of abdominals and 3 handstands. And really in the heyday, in the Renaissance, in San Francisco at Larry's studio, there was 5 rounds of handstands and 5 sets of abdominals. So what's fun about the rocket is that it's going to give you tools to cross-train your yoga practice. So you'll safely be able to practice inversions. If you're working on your core on your mat, by the time you kick up into an elbow stand or a handstand, your core is so strong to support your spine and to support your body weight. So it's really fantastic for that. The rocket also offers more flexibility. There's flexibility poses that are put in every rocket, which is Hanumanasana splits and Samokhanasana splits. And those are put in to keep you flexible. So if you are revisiting those poses every day, you're naturally going to get more flexible. So the rocket not only makes you stronger, but it also makes you flexible. And so those two things balanced together create a beautiful practice. The rocket is a philosophy. The reason that Larry Schultz wanted to develop something other than what he was taught, which was traditional Ashtanga yoga. It's good for you to know what traditional Ashtanga yoga is, because that's where the rocket's coming from. It's coming from a very ancient practice that is very rigid. You progress very slowly. You have to master one pose before you are shown the next pose. And so it takes many, 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 many years to be shown advanced poses. And so that was part of the inspiration for Larry to develop the rocket, was to bring these more advanced poses to beginners. Who's a beginner? We are. So even having practiced as long as I have, it's nice to have a beginner's mind and to really approach this practice as a beginner. Approach it with a sense of fun, creativeness, and lightheartedness, because when you're practicing the rocket, you'll surprise yourself that you're doing things that you never thought you could do. And practicing with that sense of gratitude and humbleness is really what the rocket is about. So it's the stronger we get in the practice, the more humble we become. In this teacher training, you will be receiving your manual, and you will be receiving routine handouts, and as we go along, a few other handouts. These routines here, you have for Bottle Rocket 1, Rocket 2, and for those of you that are newer to the rocket, the first routine that you're going to learn is called MDR, Minimum Daily Requirement, and Bottle Rocket 1, okay? If this is your second rocket training, you're going to be learning Bottle Rocket 2 and Rocket 2 and focusing a little bit more on that. And really, wherever you are in your instructing, is we just pick up where we are. Our practice is going to be our biggest teacher throughout this experience, because we have the philosophy, practice what you teach what you practice. So you'll know what you're comfortable with as far as instructing goes. I really want everybody to get into a creative mind and let your mind explore and kind of get out of what we think this training is about. Get out of the mindset of whatever we think that the practice should be about. And instead, just be open to the experience that the rocket brings to you. This is a very powerful experience for us because we are now going to be studying ourselves through this amazing practice. Become familiar with the bottle rocket. That is the bare bones of the rocket. Every rocket has those poses. And then the MDR is the sun salutations. It's the sun salutations from traditional Ashtanga yoga. So it's really important for you coming into this training to have some type of Ashtanga yoga book to reference. And the sun salutations in the traditional Ashtanga system is how we warm up for the rocket. And we're going to have some fun with these sun salutes. I'm going to show you lots of different exercises to get you into more of a creative mindset. Because even though the poses appear to be all the same, all the sun, as you go through the sun salutations and repeat, we're actually going to choose different focuses for those sun salutes. And this is going to allow you to translate what you're learning with the sun salutation exercises into how you instruct the rocket. I will also be sending you the philosophy. My studio is called Yoga Ah, and Larry's studio was called It's Yoga. And so what I like to call the philosophy is the Larry Schultz philosophy. So it's the It's Yoga, Yoga Ah, Larry Schultz philosophy. And it tells us a little bit about more of the yoga that's taking place off the mat, and also how we're bringing that into the mat. How are we being creative on our mat, and also how are we being creative off of our mat, and allowing us to explore new parts of ourselves. Become familiar with the manual. There's the history of the rocket. This is coming from Patabi Joyce, who taught Larry. Larry taught me, and now I'm instructing you. So we have a Ashtanga yoga lineage, and that's pretty special. So read about the history. Read about the summary of the Ashtanga yoga system, the breath of the rocket, Ujjayi breath, and the bandhas, and the drishti. All of those elements are in traditional Ashtanga. And then we will start to dive into bottle rocket and rocket one. And I like to say, you know, I love the rocket trainings because we get to go at rocket speed, okay? And the 200-hour training, it's summarized, okay? Because now we're picking up where we left off. And this is our opportunity to grow together. And wherever you are is where you begin. And so I'm really honored to be sharing this journey with you. And I'm looking forward to telling you more about myself and really what drew me to the rocket. I wish you all well. Namaste. Let's Om together. Ah.